Hi, how's it going? It's me, Sage Ghost Stage from the music group Analog Binary Set, and today is July 28th, 2011. And I'm giving you my first opinion event recording. And during these opinion event recordings, you're going to hear my take on news, events, world topics, world issues, and sometimes I will talk about politics. And the reason why I'll talk about politics is to give awareness. See, I love my country. I love being a citizen of the United States. I think we have a great system. We enjoy more freedoms than most people in the world. And the reason for that, one big reason for this being such a great country is our democracy. Unfortunately, there is a major threat to our democracy. Now, of course, some people will tell you, oh, it's, the large corporations, it's the wealthy people with their lobbyists, trying to influence our politicians. Yeah, but in my opinion, I think the biggest threat to our democracy is ignorance. I'm going to say it again. Ignorance is the biggest threat to our democracy. I mean, I can't tell you how many people out there that don't know anything about this government, how it works, how government can help you and how it can hurt you. It's like a weapon or a gun. You want it in the right hands. You just can't give it to anybody. And when people, that don't keep up with politics, people that don't um, notice or pay attention to what's going on, that is our biggest problem. And I think that's the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now. For example, I remember, somebody blaming the president on local state decisions. I rest my case. Here's another example. Right now, we're dealing with a debt limit ceiling, crisis that's going on right now in Washington. And over the weekend, I remember asking, people about, their opinion about it. And a lot of reaction I would get was, I don't know, I don't care. Which, these particular reactions that I got, I thought were scary and at the same time comical. It just blows my mind how little people know what's going on in the world, what's going on in our government, in our system. People people think I'm crazy for sometimes talking about politics and keeping up with politics because when you think about the Congress, when you think about the president, when you think about the Supreme Court, geez, they only create, judge, and implement policies that affect our lives as well as future generations. And I guess for me to be concerned about that, I guess I'm crazy, huh? Okay. Uh, and of course, the issue that, as far as politics is concerned, the issue that we're dealing with right now is the debt limit ceiling debate. And right now, we're trying to raise our debt ceiling, or how much amount of money that we can borrow, which is important because Congress already, said that, hey, we're going to spend this money. So now it's time for us to pay our obligations. And when you don't raise the debt, ceiling for us to borrow money to pay our obligations, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. Now, many people say that, our government's going to default on our loans and obligations. Probably not. you'll they'll be able to. Of course, the government, first priority is for them to pay their creditors and people that our United States government owes money to. However, the United States is not going to have enough money to pay everything. Like, for example, um, they might not have enough money to pay for Social Security, or it could be the military, or it could be Medicare, Medicaid, or basically what I'm saying is that without all the money being there, the government is going to have to make really tough decisions on what they're going to pay and what they're not going to pay, which is going to cause a lot of problems. So that's the reason why it's important to raise our debt limit. And unfortunately, there's too much, there's too many people in Washington with their own ideology, and they just won't budge from it. I figured, with the 2010 election, with more, elected Republicans in the House, you figure people would be more responsible. Here you have the Republicans having control of the House of Representatives. Here you have the Democrats having control of the Senate. So, in all, both Democrats and Republicans now have a shared responsibility of the economy, right? So I had a glimmer of hope that our politicians in Washington would actually act like adults instead of acting like children by, arguing, bickering, pointing fingers at each other, and basically laughing and giggling at pee-pee parts, which our Congress is doing right now, unfortunately. And all in all, it's embarrassing, and I think a big problem and reason for this is the extreme elements. I think these extreme factions are another threat to our democracy. Because, with people stepping up on the scene with this, no compromise, my way or the highway, things will just not get done. Whenever you solve problems, it has to be a balanced, and it has to be about compromise. It has to be about a balanced approach. You can't expect one person to sacrifice more than the other. We're all going to have to equally sacrifice here. We're all in this together. But a lot of people just don't realize that. For example, I remember, let's just forget about the commercial ads that are all out there. There's a man by the name of Grover Norquist who was basically going to all the House Republicans, having them sign a no tax increase pledge, which basically will rule out any revenue increases in solving this deficit. And then you have the Progressive Change Campaign Committee that's, threatening to, getting people to sign a petition and pledge that if there's any sort of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, entitlement reform, then that, hey, we're all going to pledge not to donate any money to President Obama's re-election campaign. We're not going to vote for him. This kind of rhetoric right here, this kind of behavior does nobody any good. This hurts us more than anything, because as I mentioned before, we all need to pitch in. We all need to equally sacrifice. Everything has to sacrifice and play their part in resolving the problem. Look at the polls. I mean, most of the American people want a balanced approach. But you got a lot of people in Washington with very, very thick skulls, and they just won't listen. And it just seems to me that that we're just on our way to a very embarrassing, stupid, self-inflicted wound on ourselves, our economy, because of all these people wanting it their way and not willing to compromise or give anything up. I mean, what? I mean, of course, I know right now with the way our deficit, I mean, with the way our economy is, the government does need to spend money, because companies aren't spending money, individuals aren't spending money, so you need somebody there to be the consumer, whether it's putting people on, reconstruction projects, maintaining our roads, bridges, whatever. But, in the end, this, the way we spend money is just not sustainable. I don't know what part of we don't have the money do people understand. We can't keep spending money like this, and we also can't just kick the can down the road, as a lot of people would say. So hopefully, people in the Congress will grow up and eat their vegetables. Because if not, my goodness, the way we look to the rest of the world, we might as well just pull our pants down and show off our rear ends. This is as embarrassing as it gets. And I think all in all, the way things are going, President Obama's going to probably have to raise the debt ceiling by using the 14th Amendment. Which still is very, very embarrassing, because that just shows people that, the people in Washington and in Congress are not really trying to be serious. So, anyway, that's my take on it. And I guess I'll go ahead and call or email my local congressperson and tell them all, or congresspeople, and tell them all, hey, stop the madness.